So if you've been using Video 8, Hi 8, or even Hi 8 XR, and you're kind of tired of the video footage and you're ready for something a little bit better, well, then I introduce you to Sony's Digital 8. This is the last of the era of 8mm video cassette camcorders by Sony. So let's check it out, see if it's worth putting in your camera collection, and we'll see how good the test footage is. Hey there, welcome back to my camera collection. If you're new around here, we like to check out old school retro camcorders, so if you're into that kind of thing, maybe consider subscribing. So today we're going to be checking out the Sony DCR-TRV120. We'll talk about the physical features on it, we'll go around and check them all out, and at the end of the video, I will show you some of the test footage that comes out of this camcorder. So with that being said, let's get into today's video. So let's go over some of the specs on this. It was kind of hard to find a lot of information on this besides stuff that I could find on a downloadable digital user manual. So if there's not a lot of information that I give you, I apologize. This is what I could find without having to pay money, at least. So this camera is from 2000, the year 2000, and I wasn't actually able to find how much this camera originally cost. I would guess probably around like $1,000 to $1,500. That's my guess. Just because it's not a professional camera, but it was a digital camera, I could see it being a little bit more expensive. And because it has held its value over the years, you know, being able to get it for $250 to $300 for working ones with these line of cameras, I could see them still they were being sold for quite a bit when they first came out. Now I said that this was towards the end of the era of 8mm format cameras, so this does record onto 8mm cassette tapes, so similar to Video 8, Hi 8, and Hi 8 XR. It's the same exact tapes, it's just digital. The last year that they made digital camcorders that recorded to 8mm cassette tapes was 2007, so this was still much before they discontinued 8mm format cassette tape. And these specs are kind of all over the place, so bear with me. So you are able to do 12-bit and 16-bit audio recording with this camera. It is stereo, not mono, which it should be if it is digital. If you record in SP mode or short play, you can get an hour's worth of record time on one tape. And if you record in LP mode or long play, you can get an hour and a half of record time on one tape. So if you don't know the difference between SP and LP, or short play and long play, short play, you don't get as much time on the tape, but you will get a better video image out of it. And long play or LP, you'll get more time on the tape, but the video footage isn't as good. And oddly enough, this thing also has a black and white viewfinder. It has a 25 times optical zoom, which is great. I do like camcorders that are about 20 times optical zoom. That way you don't have to sit and play with the stupid digital zoom that's on these camcorders. But if the 25 times optical zoom isn't enough for you, you do have a 450 times digital zoom, which zooming in that far, it's definitely going to distort the image. You're not going to be able to tell what you can see. Now this camera does do great in low light with a 1 lux on it, and it has 0 lux if you use night shot on it. It also has a 2.5-inch LCD screen. It's also got 7 digital faders. You can do custom titling, so you can create your own custom titles on this for your intros for your videos. Not that anybody uses those anymore these days, but still could be fun to play around with. It's got 14 different picture effects, so kind of like different little filters and stuff, like mosaic and sepia, black and white, all those fun, cheesy early 2000s and 90s video effects that you could do. And this camcorder weighs 2 pounds. Now, I don't know if that's exact, but from what I could find, it is 2 pounds. And that's pretty much all the specs I could really find that, you know, weren't super insanely nitty-gritty detail that honestly don't really need to be showcased in this video. And the information that I found for those specs was on mediacollege.com and manuallib.com. So if you want to look at more details on this, you can go to those two websites and check it out. I think one of them was the digital user manual that you could buy and download as like a PDF and look at the user manual on this if you needed to. I just found the specs section of it. So now that that's all over with, let's go around and check out the physical features on this camcorder. All right, let's start at the front. So this does come with a lens cap on it, and I kind of don't like the lens caps that tie to the hand strap, you can take them off very easily, but I don't know, just they usually kind of flap around, and you can usually hear it in the audio and stuff when you're recording. It is a 37mm lens thread diameter on it, so if you want to use any form of like an ND filter or a polarizer filter, even a clear filter to protect the lens, a 37mm is what you need. You could also find 37mm wide angle lenses along with 37mm fisheye lenses. Optica does not make the 37mm fisheyes anymore, but there is another company that I will link in the description if you want a 37mm fisheye for your Digital 8 or High 8 camcorder. They look identical to the Optica brand ones, so I believe they're probably from like the same manufacturer. And you do get a nice manual focus ring here on the front. It kind of looks like those ones, there's a lot of camcorders out there that look like they have a manual focus ring on the front, but it's actually just a part of the body, so they kind of fool you on that. This one is an actual working manual focus ring on it. Down below, you do have the microphone here, which is a stereo microphone, along with your infrared receiver if you have a wireless remote. Just below that, I guess the lens system here, you have your night shot switch here, so you got your on and your off, so you can toggle that on or off. And then you have a button here that is your super night shot. So I think you can turn night shot on, and then you can kind of enhance it with the super night shot button here. You do have a little screen here on the back side of the screen, and it is it monitors and lets you know about your how far along you are on the tape, along with your battery information. Now on the back side of the screen, well, I guess that's kind of like the outside portion of the screen, but you do have your lock button here, so you just push it in. Then you can pull out on the screen, and it opens up. But on the outside, you have your 4 different buttons. The top ones are your LCD brightness up and down, and the bottom 2 are your volume up and down for playback. There's a little compartment here on the inside of the screen. It's kind of square. You can kind of get like your pinky in there and kind of pop it out. It's like a nickel-sized battery. I don't know exactly what size it is. It's let's see if there's one in here. So this is a CR-2025 battery, and what that does is it keeps the internal clock going even when the camera is off. So that way, when you turn it off and turn it back on later on down the road, it will keep your time and date code running, and it will have an accurate timestamp when you go to record. So it'll have your date and time down in the bottom left or right corner, and it'll have the time of day and the date as well. So that's what that little battery does. You also have your playback speaker here, this square with all the little holes in it. Then you have your date code, so you can go in and change your date and time and all that. You got your digital effects. You push that, and then it turns it on or off, and then you can use a scroll wheel here on the back of the camera to go cycle through those. You have an end search button along with your display. So if you push that, it turns your display on or off. And there's a button just below the display button, and that is your peanut butter zoom. Just kidding, it's your playback zoom or your PB zoom. I had to Google what that was. I wasn't really sure what it was. Playback zoom is you're in playback, and while the video is playing, you can push that, and then you can use your scroll wheel on the back of the camera to kind of zoom in and out digitally on your image that's being played, or if you have taken a photo. So it's kind of like an enlargement. That kind of sounds dirty. Digital zoom feature for being able to kind of zoom in, a pinch and zoom almost, if you will. So that's what that is. And then you have your title and your menu button. On the back underneath the viewfinder, you have your fader button, backlight button, AE program, and your exposure. So fader turns it on and off, and then you can cycle through with your scroll wheel to pick which one you want. The backlight button is either on or off. Your AE program turns it on or off, and then you have the scroll wheel to cycle through which one you want to use, and your exposure on and off. So if you push the exposure, you can turn it manually on or off. So if it's off, it's in auto exposure. If it's on, it's manual exposure. And then you can use the scroll wheel to brighten or darken the image. Like I said, it is a black and white viewfinder, and I would say it pivots about 45 degrees. It doesn't slide out or anything, it just pivots up and down. Underneath, you do have your focus adjust for your viewfinder, so you can adjust it to your eyesight. On the right of the viewfinder, you do have your battery release. You push it down and the battery slides up and out. Just below the battery, you do have your DC in, or your camera battery charger. If you don't have a battery, you can usually plug the DC power supply into that and turn the camera on if you don't have a battery, or if you have a battery that is dead, or if you just need to do some form of extended shooting, you want to make sure that the battery doesn't die. You can plug your camera into a power source, and your camera will stay on for as long as you want the camera to be on for. We have the record button here, very traditional spot for any kind of camcorder. You get the power switch, so if you switch it up, it goes into VTR mode, and if you go down, it goes into camera mode or record mode. It's kind of weird though, because some camcorders, they call it VTR, and then some cameras, they call it VCR, and that's just with like Sony cameras. So it kind of seems like the older ones call it VTR, and then kind of the more newer like mini DV models call it VCR. So it's kind of weird, but it's the same thing. Up on top, you got your playback functions that light up in Sony's traditional orange colors. So you got your stop, rewind, play, fast forward, pause, and record. So you can plug video and audio sources into this, and you can actually record things to the tape, say like a VCR or something like that. Or if you have another camcorder, you can record the footage from that to this camcorder, stuff like that. You don't really need to do that these days, but that option's on there if you want to do that. But it's a big thing back in the tape era of cameras. You also have your super laser link, or your laser link system. Along with that, you do got your edit search functions here, so you can use the plus or the minus, and it will track back to the last frame that you just recorded. So if you want to like retake a clip or something that you messed up on or didn't like, you can push like minus, and it will rewind the tape back to the first frame and stop there, and then you can start recording to kind of tape over it, record over it if you need to. Some Sony camcorders have it and some Sony camcorders don't, but it's usually the older ones that I've noticed that have it, and this one is kind of an older one. But you have to flip that whole thing up here. You have your eject button here on the inside that's blue, so you can push that and your tape ejects. So kind of a hidden way to kind of make it more minimalistic and not so busy looking, I guess. But like I said, some Sony camcorders, Hi 8 camcorders and Digital 8 camcorders have that, and some of them don't. Now on the right side of the camera, on the front side here, you have all of your plugins here. So you have your S-Video plugin along with your AV in and out. They're usually, well, at least on Canon camcorders, they're highlighted yellow. But if it's the audio video AV, it's a 3.5 millimeter jack. So if you want to use that for capturing your footage or whatever, it's got to be like a 3-to-1. So like one side it will be like the yellow, white, and red RCA plugins, and then the other side is like a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. I call it a 3-to-1 RCA cable. I don't really know what the technical term is. It makes sense because it's one side to a 3 side. You have your headphone jack here highlighted in green, so you can monitor your audio. Along with that, you do have a red plug-in here, which is your external mic plug-in here. So you can use an external mic if you want to. Just make sure it's a powered mic. The blue one here is your LANC, which is a wired remote plug-in. That's a 2.5 millimeter jack. So you can do like editing functions and like control the camera with a wired remote and all that kind of stuff. And you have a Firewire port. That is where the digital comes into, is you can actually transfer your video through Firewire and actually get a digital signal out of it. So we'll have to see how good the Digital 8 is on this camcorder. Those are all your plugins for that little compartment. Up top, you do have a hot shoe. Now, I usually say cold shoe, but the difference between a hot shoe and a cold shoe is a hot shoe has little plugins or like little contact points where you can slide things into it, and you can plug in like mics, light systems, and stuff like that into it. I know like some cameras, you can have like a attachment where it's like XLR that will slide into it and the camera will recognize it. I don't know if they make a mic or not. I know they have, I think it's the Sony intelligent light system. You can slide it in there and it, makes contact with the little contact points. They call it the smart light because your camera will recognize when it's too dark, and that little light will actually pop on by itself if it recognizes that it's too dark. It also works really well if you are going to use night shot. You can illuminate darkness with that light. If you want to do some ghost hunting or some creepy videos at night or something like that, that's a nice little thing that you can use. But these days you can just use like a cold shoe handle if you want. It might be a little side heavy just because it's mounted on the side and not center in the camera. Anything that you can use to mount to a cold shoe, you can throw it on here and still use it. And other than that, I believe that's all the physical features on the outside of the body. I think it does have dirty tape heads, or maybe I just need to use an unused 8mm tape because watching playback and stuff on it, it was a little glitchy looking. Usually the bottom of camcorders, they are the most scratched and stuff, but this one actually doesn't look too shabby on the bottom. Usually where the tripod mount is usually where it's the most scratched, so that actually looks pretty good. But if you have one of these for yourself and you need things to get your camcorder working, I will include some links in the description for Video 8 tapes, or I guess 8mm tapes, a compatible battery and charger for this, along with video converters and stuff to get you started recording on your camcorder. And all those links will be Amazon affiliate links. If you do purchase anything through those links, you will be supporting the channel. And another way you can support my channel is by buying my camcorders on my eBay store. With that being said, let's check out some of the test footage that comes out of this camera, shall we? Okay, you should be seeing me on the TRV120. So the whole reason I am making the video like this is because I believe the tape heads might be dirty, or there could be something wrong with this camcorder. I tried cleaning the tape heads and the video footage played back on a tape was still really glitchy and wouldn't play the video correctly, so I can't actually put a tape into this camcorder and record any kind of test footage out of it. That, and it's really snowy and gross outside right now, and I just don't want to go out there and try to get any kind of good looking test footage out of it. So I figured I would just set it up real quick. I have it connected to my VCR here, which has a FireWire in port, and then the back side of it here has a HDMI out. I run it around to my laptop to a capture card, which converts the HDMI to USB, and my laptop will recognize it as a webcam instead of just a camcorder. So it thinks that it's a webcam, so that's how you're actually seeing me, and I can actually see it here on the screen. So it's kind of cool. So I'm actually recording this video from my laptop, and I'm not actually recording from the camcorder itself. It's practically just the webcam, and the computer itself is recording it. So kind of cool. If you wanted to, you could use this whole system as a webcam if you wanted to, if you want to do like live streams or anything like that, and you wanted a retro look to your live streams. And the audio is going to be very echoey because I'm in maybe like a 8 by 10 foot room. It's extremely small in here. You've probably seen other clips of this room in other videos, but it's extremely small in here. This is really all you get for the test footage, because I can't really go anywhere else with it unless I set up some kind of a tapeless setup, and I just don't really want to do that. So yeah, this is what the footage looks like straight out of the TRV120 in automatic mode. I just turned it on and hit record on my laptop, and this is what it looks like and sounds like. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you leave a like. And if you enjoy the content, make sure you subscribe, because we talk about old school retro camcorders almost on a weekly basis. And on that note, we'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.